Hello, my student. Today we are going to talk or speak about 3.45, the mood. If you remember, we took the mood one day when we were talking about the finite and non-finite verbs, and we said for the verb to be finite, there should be some features like the concord, like the meaning, for example. So what is meant by the meaning? Meaning, in a brief, is though it has more than one meaning, conveys the speaker's sentence meaning. Means what is meant by the utterance of the speaker. Here, mood can be classified into two categories. The first category we can call the main, say, mood. The main mood or the main moods. Accordingly, for the main moods, I mean the meaning of the sentence here, we have the first group. It has three types. The first type is what we call declarative, and sometimes, or some grammarian called statement, or so declarative statement. Declarative can be divided into two types. The first one, affirmative, and the second one, we call it negative statement. Or, for example, we can say declarative, say today is, for example, Sunday. Today is Sunday. This is declarative. Say, I am here. This is declarative. You are a student. This is declarative. Iraq is, say, big country. Whatever, just to tell information, and we call it declarative or statement. And the opposite, if we add not to this one, for example, say today is Sunday, is affirmative. Today is not Sunday, and this is what we call it, say, negative. I'm not here. You are not John. She is not happy, etc. So adding negation to the sentence, we change it from affirmative to the negative. This is the first type of the mood. By the way, we have, for the main moods, we have three categories. The second category is what we call the interrogative. What is meant by, of course, you know what is meant by interrogative. Interrogative means questions. And again, since we have affirmative and negative, also in interrogative we have affirmative and say negative interrogative. For example, where do you live? Where do you live? Where, say, do you live? Where do you live? This is what interrogative. Interrogative means what? A question. Or don't you like, say, playing chess, for example? This is what negative interrogative. And say, for example, how long long do you live in Iraq? To say, or where are you say staying? All these marker used with why, with when, with where, etc. We use them for the interrogative. The third category of the main group is by using the what we call the imperative. Imperative also it has more one name or form. Sometimes we call it command or order. It could be request. Under all these categories under the imperative. Let's say, for example, please say pass, for example, the salt. So please pass the salt means give me the salt. This is what imperative means. Or, for example, close the door. See, close. Always, I mean, this imperative starts with what? With the verb. And the verb is in form of the simple or the base form, etc. Whatever. Come here, go there, find an answer, speak slowly. All these, we call them imperative. This is the first group. The second group is, we call the secondary, or we call them minor mood. minor moods or minor group or secondary. Here we have only two types of the minor moods. The first one, exclamatory, we call it exclamatory. By the way, why we arrange them in this way? Because or according to the proportion of our use or their use, means most people or mostly we use the declarative. The second, we use the interrogative. In a less degree or amount, we use the imperative. Then a less group, we use exclamatory sentences, and sometimes we call it exclamation. When we have a sentence, and after a sentence we put this mark, exclamation mark. Of course, this is in writing, but in speech or in spoken language, we use the intonation. Here we take, for example, this sentence: how a high mountain it is. See the structure? How a high mountain. We can use either high or say what. Then what do we have? The subject. What a high. What a high. This is the adjective. What a high mountain. This is the subject. Then we repeat it is. We don't say how a high mountain it is, then exclamation mark, to say the huge of this mountain. Or we can use what, either what a nice boy he is, for example, what, say a clever boy, say he is. Like this, for example, take this, what a clever boy he is. Again, this is by using either what or we're using how or what. Another two elements we use here is by using such. For example, just under the same such. All this under exclamation. For example, she is such a nice girl. She is such. We use such in this respect also as indication of what? Of exclamation. She is ya laha, for example, in Arabic we use it. She is such a nice girl, etc. So this is what we mean by, or sometimes even we use so. He is, for example, he is so tall man. See? So we use also so or such to express or to indicate the exclamation. These are the cases for the minor. I mean the first case, the minor. So the first kind under the minor moods is by using the exclamation. This is that belong to the this part belongs to the first. For the minor, we have the first part. The first type is we call exclamation. The second type is what we call subjunctive, and this is what we are going to explain alone. So the first one, exclamatory sentences. The second one is we call the subjunctive sentences.